Hi, welcome to another edition of Seven's Pinballorama. Today we're doing a video, hold on just a sec. Today we're going to do a video on moving and setting up pinball machines. The very first machine that I bought, I didn't have any idea how I was supposed to move it. Well, moving it was the easy part. Getting it back up on the legs, I wasn't really sure how to do that. So if you're watching this video, you're probably in the same boat I was. It's actually pretty easy. It's always easier to do it with a couple of people, but it's entirely possible to do this just by yourself, as long as you're kind of careful and you just sort of watch what you're doing. It's all about balance and the center of gravity for the machine, and just using kind of the leverage and tilting and things like that. And I'll show you. It's not too bad. So before we start, I guess I could talk about what you're going to need. So I usually use these box wrenches with the little ratcheting thing. Some people use sockets. You want a 9/16 wrench and a 5/8 wrench, because the bolts that go on pinball machines are going to be one or the other. And I've actually gone and picked up machines that have both on the same machine. So it's always nice to have both wrenches there. There are bolts that hold the back boxes in place, and they're going to be also the same. They're either going to be a 9/16 or a 5/8. So go to your location prepared. I usually recommend, like, if you just have one machine or just a couple machines, go to your local pinball corner store where they sell parts and stuff, and just buy 8 new bolts. Your life will be tons easier. A lot of times these are kind of stripped out and kind of worn down, and they're all rusty and gross sometimes. So just buy some new bolts. They're cheap. And the other thing that I tell people to do is to buy brand new leg levelers. Now these screw into the bottom of the leg. Commonly the front legs will have one with a 1.5 inch bolt, and then the back ones have this size, which is a 3 inch bolt. And usually because people like to kind of crank their machines up a little bit higher in the back, just to make it a little bit more difficult. So these get old, they get gross. You screw them up and down by moving this thing, and this little plastic or this little metal disc here will kind of get stripped out, so they're hard to move. They get rusty, they get gross, and commonly there's a nut that's supposed to go on here, and commonly people will put them on the inside for some reason, when they actually go on the bottom, on the outside. So you're going to have to move the bolt anyway. You got to take the whole thing off. Just take it, throw it away, put a brand new one on. It moves nice and easy, and your life will be so much better. Anyway, yeah. So those two things, do those, or don't. I'm not the boss of you. And this is pinball, so anything you do in pinball, you're going to be wrong. So that's my new motto. Anyway, okay, so let's put the front legs on this and put the back legs on it, and I'll demonstrate this on how it works. And I'm in sort of a tight space here. So I've got, as you can tell, I've got my wide angle, super wide angle, but I think I need even more of a wide angle. So I'm going to fire up one of my little action cams and point it down a little bit so you can kind of see how I'm manipulating this thing. And yeah, so let's fire up that camera and we'll go from there. Okay, so I'll usually separate out the the front legs and the back legs, I will lower the leg levels down. I'm not putting new ones on this, just, you know, do what I say, not what I do. Mostly because this machine's only coming in, I'm setting it up, I'm showing it on video, and then I'm breaking it down and it goes away. So it's only visiting. Anyway, so usually what I'll do is I'll put the back legs, I'll put them about in the middle of the 3-inch bolt. On the front ones, I crank them all the way down, and then that's kind of always a good starting point for when you get the machine up on legs. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. So we'll screw this one down a little bit more, just because we don't want it to be all super tilty. See how terrible these are? I'm gonna cheat. Yeah, okay, that's close enough. So the first thing that I do is I put the legs on the front. Get in there. Some machines, pay attention to this when you go and get yours. Some machines actually, especially the older EMs, they actually have different size legs in the front and the back. So you don't want to get those confused. Sometimes they'll have the front of the cabinet comes down a little bit more and these legs are shorter. In Bally made Blackwater 100, and the back legs are really tall. They're an unusual size. So if you get one of those, don't lose those back legs, because it will be difficult to replace them probably. So I'll tighten these down. Usually I don't really reef them down hard. I don't want to strip out the bolt, but they've got to be tight enough so that they don't wiggle. So. Okay, so that's that. All I do is just carefully bring it down. Just like that. Okay, before I start this, because I'm going to lift this up and I'm going to sort of set it onto my, my thigh, I usually put the legs that I need on both sides of the machine. I put 2 bolts here and 2 bolts here. And then I hold this in my mouth. No, I don't. I usually put this in somewhere that I can access it. So lift as well as you can. Lift with your legs and not your back. And then I just bring it and set it down on my knee like that. And then I can use my foot to sort of bring this up to the level that I need it. And I like to tighten the leg down before I move on to the next one, because then I can rest some of the weight onto this leg as I shift around. It probably, yeah, it would, I guess it would fall over. But I can hold it up with one finger, so it's not too bad. Ta-da! Now on this one, I use just a strap to hold the back box in place, or you can use plastic or something. I don't know if I said, I did a whole bunch of takes of this already because my neighbor was ripping his car up and down the street. So I kept restarting the camera. I don't know what I've said. So I'm going to take the strap off and I mount a frame, but you can just pretend that I'm still in frame. So before I packed this up, I had put a little bit of cardboard where the back box came down and touches the cabinet. I put a little bit of cardboard there just so that it won't, so that this section won't get all scratched up and it won't beat the crap out of this metal right here. So you can use cardboard, or you can use, I've used like shop rags before, or towels. People have used foam, stuff like that. This particular machine is nice because it actually has, there's a clip back here that will hold the back box up. I should probably do a close-up of that so you can see it. So there's a clip that'll hold this up. You don't want to completely rely on that clip. There are a couple holes that you can put some bolts in. So take the back box off and put the bolts in. But that's basically setting up a machine. Pretty easy. So let's look at something that isn't so easy. This is a Gottlieb Genie. It is one of the wider of the wide bodies. Look at this thing, it's a beast. I'm 6 feet tall. So the process that I just showed you actually will work on a machine of this size by yourself. So I'm going to demonstrate that. The back box, getting the back box up is a bit of a bear on your own. I'm actually not going to do that part because the glass on this Genie is like perfect and new, and I don't want to risk dropping it. But I will get this up on its legs so you can see the process on a big beast of this size, and show you that it actually does work. So let's do that. You know, I think after doing this right after the Secret Service, this is actually lighter because it doesn't have the back box on it. It's just big and bulky. Done. Pretty easy. I don't think I have anything else to say on this. So that's the basics. The back box, when you lift it up, I showed you the little clip on the Data East. The newer Sterns, they have bolts that go in the back, and then some of the ones from the 90s, actually you put a big Allen wrench into the back and you kind of turn this ratcheting system around. I'll do an insert clip to show you what that looks like here. So those are the, if it's the like a mid-80s Data East machine or something like that, you got to make sure you have that big ratcheting thing, because it'll make your life a whole lot easier. Sega's use that too, actually. Okay, so that's how to set up a pinball machine, and how to move them and break them down and anything else. So if you have any questions or comments, drop me a line. If you like the video, subscribe. If you don't like the video, I don't know. All right, thanks for watching. So at first I said I wasn't going to try and put the back box on myself, but then I went to move the back box and it really isn't as heavy as I remembered it to be. So I'm going to do it. And then if I drop it, then you can watch me cry. It didn't come with bolts for the back box, and I don't remember which type this uses. So I have kind of a different variety of some longer ones, different types and sizes. Because if I can get one in there, it'll hold. If I match the right one, then I can get one in there and it'll hold it up there until I can get the rest of the ones that I need. So the awkward thing about this is it doesn't have any way to kind of hold this thing in place. So you have to open up the front glass, which makes the whole thing kind of tilty. But we'll do what we can. So I always forget to pull the power cord out. There are all of the cables and everything that plug into the boards that are in the back box are all down in here, and we have to leave them down in here and reach for them later. But usually what I like to do is kind of get them organized down here so that they're easy to pull up, because they've been bouncing around in there while we've been moving the machine around and everything. The other important thing to do when you're doing this is to check your power cord. A lot of times it'll be sort of frayed and messed up where it sits here, just from being moved around and whatever. So check your power cord just to make sure that it's kosher. All right, let's try this. So not only does this hinge out, but I'll show another video over later so you can see what I'm talking about. Then you have to get it in a way that you can align the holes. So this one is using bolts that are basically the same as the legs. And I don't have washers on these. They should have washers, but just to get these first couple of bolts in, I'm not gonna, because I'm doing this by myself, I'm not gonna worry about the washers at the moment. I will put those in when I put the other bolts in. Well, that wasn't too bad. Okay, that's it. That's the end of the video. So, yeah, bye. And I was trying to think, how do you get the legs on and off of it? And awesome.